Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. This place would not exist without you guys. Well, it would, but it would be a lot less interesting and a lot less fun. And one of the fun parts is getting emails and hopefully trying to answer your questions on clinical trials or getting guests to come on the show who can answer your questions for you. And I try to do that as often as I can. Whenever I get a chance to do so, I bring on what I call a guest guru, and they can answer some of your questions. But today, as I'm going through emails, I got a good one, and it's actually 3 questions rolled into one. And I've kind of spoken on these topics in the past, but I'm going to re-explore them because they're interesting, and I know other people have these topics, and you can't cover these things concisely anyways in a video. So there's always things that I'm missing. But anyways, it's from someone that will remain anonymous. And again, send your questions to Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. This one is, the first question is about PI oversight, principal investigator oversight. And then I'm going to talk about transitioning between PIs. For instance, when a PI moves unexpectedly or planned. And then finding trials, which I just did a video on. So this is going to be kind of like mini answers to your questions. So principal investigator oversight, your first topic that you want me to talk about. It's important. I've done videos on this in the past. I'm going to link to them in this blog post if you're watching. The FDA really looks at what they call the footprint of the PI. So it's true that when you're a PI, you can delegate as many things as you want, as many tasks as you want to your staff. But at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of oversight. Excuse me, oversight. And by oversight, I mean they want to see that you have a footprint, that you know what's going on in the study, that you're following good clinical practice, that you're reviewing lab reports, and especially when it comes to things like safety, study participant safety. They want to make sure that, yes, you can delegate it to qualified staff, but ultimately you as the PI are responsible when you sign that 1572 form. And so you got to have some kind of footprint, whether that's progress notes or just signing labs, signing ECGs, looking at the study participants' CONMEDs, adjusting the investigational product dose if needed. Some protocols have to have the study drug titrated up or down. So the FDA is not going to like it, or any auditor for that matter, a sponsor audit, CRO audit. They're not going to like it if they don't see a PI footprint. Okay, you can delegate it to your staff, but ultimately you have to have some kind of footprint because they want to see that the PI is involved and not just delegating everything to the point where, you know, your clinic operates like a McDonald's, which it should. It should be automated like that, and it should be efficient. But they want to make sure that you, the PI, know what's going on, especially when it comes to subject safety. Hopefully that helps that topic. Now, transitioning between PIs. So sometimes this is planned, other times it's not. So sometimes the PI says, look, I want to retire in a year, and I'd like to transition my studies to another doctor. When they're planned, it's a little easier because you have time to notify the sponsors. You have time to transition, to make the transition a smooth process. So for example, you probably have sub-investigators who serve on your trial. Perhaps some of them are qualified sub-investigators with a lot of research experience of their own. It might be time to start transitioning some of your studies to those sub-Is as early as possible. So if you know you're going to be leaving in a year, you want to start with at least 1 or 2 studies, and hopefully not studies that are high enrolling at the time, you want to start transitioning to the sub-I. So start calling the sponsors, tell them what's going on, tell them you'll still be involved as a sub-I, you'll still be involved, highly involved in the transition period. And even after the transition phase, you'll still be around as a sub-I. That's what I would recommend. And as that year progresses, you start transitioning more and more of your work to this sub-I or another investigator who you found to follow you, to succeed you. So that's a little bit about PI transition. Now, when they're unplanned, for instance, if the PI got really sick or really ill and just can't do it anymore, or if the FDA just shuts him or her down, bars them from doing research, it's a little different situation. You're going to be scrambling to find someone, another investigator, to take over your studies. And if you're not prepared and you don't have these sub-Is that I was talking about in the past, you're looking at at least 6 months to a year before you can start again with studies. And that's if you find a sub-I or another investigator in a reasonable amount of time. You're going to need to be communicating with the sponsor at all times. Communication is key. So you've got to communicate with the sponsors throughout both of these situations, whether it's a planned PI transition or an unplanned one. Communication is key. You've got to let the sponsor know that you know what you're doing, whoever it is you are running the clinic. That's important. Last topic was everyone's favorite, how to find trials within a specialty arena. Networking. I'm going to link to my other videos I've done, but networking, offline and online. I think LinkedIn is fantastic for online, especially for our industry. You've got to join a LinkedIn group. You've got to start participating in the dialogue. There are some good LinkedIn groups out there for clinical research. They talk about excellent topics. Anyone who joins the group can participate. And at some point, you can network with these other group members and exchange study leads, especially if you're not directly competing in the same geographic region. And if you want to share study leads with me, email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Also, you're going to have to use clinicaltrials.gov a lot. You're going to have to cold call. You're going to have to warm call. You're going to have to send your PIs to all the different industry functions. So for psychiatry, there's a yearly meeting called NCDO. There's also DIA. There's the Society of Clinical Research Professionals that meets every year. Tons of stuff, and especially in your specific specialties, medical specialties. There's, like, NCDO is one for psychiatry, so for internists, it's probably something else. So find out where these industry meetings are every year and attend. Send someone from your site or go yourself. Also, don't ignore your pharmaceutical sales reps that interact with your doctors, because they're associated with medical liaisons who serve as the bridge between the sales department and the research and development department at most pharmaceutical companies. So you want to get in touch with these people, because these people can put you in their database of trials. Also, sign up for drugdev.org, sign up for Quintiles' database, INC Research, Covance, all the big ones. Hopefully this helps. I want to give a shout out to my Clinical Trial Guru producers, Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Accurate Clinical Trials, Erdhard Clinical Trials, PTNR, Patrick Stone, Darshan Kulkarni. We have Biopharm Systems, Mozio, Zymewire, South Coast Clinical Trials, and Breakthrough Clinical Trials. And I'm still accepting more producers. If you want to learn how to be a producer while I'm still offering this, let me know, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. It's $99 for a lifetime membership. It's cheap. And when all the spots have been taken, you're going to feel sorry you didn't do this. So, email me. Hopefully this helps answer your questions. And as always, get back to me. Dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you.